Hey everyone, what's going on? It's No Filter and Nintendo Podcast. I'm your host, Wizrad, and this is episode 23, being recorded on January 19th, 2019. Whoa, geez, 2019 already, people. It's, 2018 went by really fast for me. A lot of stuff in life just, was very busy, and just a lot of stuff went on, and 2018 was a good year for me. But, in terms of gaming, it's a little bit different. I don't know. It was still a good year, but in terms of the actual output, in 2018, it was a little bit lacking, I'd say. But, so what I want to start off this podcast with, instead of doing games I played recently, I have quite a few games for that as well. I want to go over kind of my thoughts about 2018. What did I think of 2018? Mainly for me, the indies have been great for 2018. There's some true standouts, and I'm definitely going to have a video later, whether it's the top 10 or top 20 eShop indie games or something like that. But a lot of the games coming out this year, it's the indie output has been amazing, whether it's ports of really well-renowned games like, Hyper Light Drifter and stuff like that, or if it's brand new games in general. It's been a fantastic year for indie games. And, as you guys know, my channel has been very heavily indie focused, and I'm going to switch it up a little bit in 2019 for you guys. I still adore indie games, but it has been a little bit crazy with indie games as of late, but I'll get into that in a later topic. 2018 though, it's been amazing. Like, some standout games that I've been playing, at least for Switch stuff, is Dandara, which was amazing. Celeste, which is obviously super well renowned by everybody now. Mulaka, which is a really good kind of Mexican inspired 3D action platformer, which looks really nice and plays really well as well. Hyper Light Drifter, obviously. One of my favorite puzzle games, The Gardens Between, which I highly, highly suggest everyone tries out. I did do a full review for it, so you guys should go definitely take a look at that. Really a fantastic game, and everyone should play it. Another two, Faye, which is from Zoink Games, who have now, I guess, collaborated and joined together with Image and Form to create Thunderful Games, they also recently bought Rising Star Games, which are now publishing that new Game Freak game, which looks really nice. Really happy for those teams. Zoink Games has always been very, very talented and has some really amazing games under their belt. Faye is honestly probably one of my favorite ones from them. I absolutely adored it. And obviously Image and Form are fantastic, and I can't wait for their announcement of a new game or something that should be coming out soon, unless that was this Game Freak localization or whatever it was from PC to consoles. Faye was amazing. And another one I definitely want to highlight is called Floor Kids, which is something really special, I think. Was this 2017? I still think it was early 2018, but this is a really nice game as well. The rhythm game, it really gets you going, and just drop in, drop out, maybe do 2 songs, get the rhythm, it feels good, the music's amazing, and it's just a lot of fun, and it's something you always want to have downloaded on your Switch, because every so often you just want to kind of get in there and do rhythm, but not have to worry about just following arrows in their directions and stuff like that. This is more create your own combos, bounce to the rim to your own beat kind of a thing. It's really good. But those are some of the indie game highlights that I have for 2018. As far as Switch games outside of that, I'll be honest, I got very few games, at least major normal releases. I did, in 2018, start buying limited run games for Switch, which has been amazing. Originally, I was going to buy every single limited run Switch game, but after, I think, the first 12 or something like that, then it started to really start releasing games I already had on the eShop that you could get at that time for probably like $5 or like at least 50% off, and then you're buying a game on limited run for like 40. It got a little bit expensive, I guess, to do that, and like some games I didn't actually care for, I already played and beat, so then I'm like, oh man, do I really have to buy another game just to keep the collection going? I'm happy with getting the first. Again, I think I got the first 12 or so limited run games, which is really cool to have, and now I'm just looking whenever it comes if there's something special that I might want to grab, but other than that, no, I kind of stopped with the constant limited run games buying, but definitely some good games from them. But outside of that, there were games like Octopath Traveler, which honestly I did drop off of. I played through quite a little bit at the start, but then I forgot what got me, but I had to go play something else. I forget what it was, but I got, to be honest, my backlog is so huge, and I have a ton of review codes that I have to do and stuff like that, so that kind of took me away from it. But I've been thinking about jumping back into that so often, and nothing really stopped me thinking that I didn't like it. I liked everything about it so far. One thing that does concern me is that the story doesn't seem to really intertwine to make anything really big. It's cool that the characters intertwine, like, with their own stories, but it just doesn't seem like, at least from what I've heard, it doesn't seem like it actually joins into anything bigger than the whole. I mean, bigger than the sum of its parts kind of a thing. So I don't know. Well, hopefully it'll be better story-wise, but again, the gameplay-wise so far, I've loved it. Another game is Mario Tennis Aces. Again, I kind of dropped off of this one, but everything I have played for it so far is amazing. By far the best Mario Tennis game out there. Everyone loves to just say every other previous game in the series is great, and then this one isn't, or something like that, but the gameplay in itself here is by and far the best of the entire Mario Tennis series, and probably the best of tennis in video games in general. The online works amazing. I love that they had the combination of they pair you up with people that are closer to you, but it also shows you their ping or whatever it is, right? So that you can then decide, no, I'm not going to play against this guy. Then you go to someone else that has a better ping, and then you guys have a very smooth match. There's not a big issue with that. And I like the story mode so far from what I played of it. And I definitely want to go back and play some more of that. But yeah, I was very impressed with how fine-tuned the gameplay is, and some of the additions were really fantastic. Really, really enjoyed that. And yeah, I definitely think it gets some unnecessary hate. But yeah, in 2018, I also played Skyrim. I know it came out in 2017, but I did play Skyrim. I found it for cheap, I think, earlier in 2018. And finally got to play through Skyrim, and that was quite an experience. Really enjoyed it for the most part. There's still a ton of games left to play. I got East 8, I got a ton of other games. I've been playing Smash Bros. Ultimate, obviously. I honestly, like, playing through Smash Bros., I haven't actually played the World of Light yet. I have no idea why. I've just been, like, saving myself for, like, the new stuff in Smash. Like, so basically what I've been doing is I've basically almost solely just been doing classic mode with every character, but I haven't used a single brand new character yet, whether it's from the DLC from the Wii U version, which I never got, or the brand new ones that they added here. So I have like 15 characters or something like that I haven't been able to play yet. I'm still unlocking some, and I just haven't even tried World of Light yet. I've barely done anything with the spirits, and I'm definitely looking forward to jumping into it. I just need to take the time to really jump into it and really get going on it. But, I'm definitely enjoying it so far for the most part. Haven't had too many chances to play versus as a party or in a party setting or anything like that. So I will be doing that at some point soon. So that was pretty much Switch there. I don't think I got any of the ports that are coming from like Nintendo first party. I did plan on getting Bayonetta, and I do plan on getting Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze again at some point. That would be one of the only games I would buy again, but not for the $60 price tag or $80 in Canada. It would have to be $29.99 or less in Canada, so it would be about $19.99 for everyone else. So let's just say, it's been a pretty lackluster year for Nintendo, and I really hope 2019 is better, but I'll get into some of that in a later topic as well after this segment here. One last thing I did want to bring up is 2018 was the first year that I got a PS4. It's kind of crazy. It seems like I've had it for so much longer, but I got this, I think, Boxing Day of 2017. So I really started playing PS4 early 2018 in January, and I played it almost solely for a few months. It was pretty amazing. I got to play games like Nier Automata for the first time, and Persona 5, and Horizon Zero Dawn, and Last of Us Remastered, and Uncharted 4, Thief's End. I have a ton of games, and using the whole game sharing thing that with me and my brother, I have a bunch of games, he has a bunch of games, and I just have a ton that I'm playing, and it's been pretty fantastic, like being able to come in later in the life cycle of the system and not having to sit through the droughts and like the lulls of pretty crappy games, and just really picking out the best games out of everything. Like every single game I played on PS4 that I own on it are pretty amazing. So it's pretty great. And not to mention I have just so many with PlayStation Plus and stuff from everything saved up from back in the day and stuff like that. And it's been it's been something special. And something even more special in 2018 is I got the PlayStation VR Boxing Day of this year. So very end of 2018 I got PSVR, and I've been playing quite a few games. I went looking for a lot of games that are physical out there on sale. I got some good ones there, and the holiday sales had quite a few, so I got a ton of VR games already. I haven't been jumping into it as much as I should be recently. I should have been playing it like religiously for the last like few weeks, but I just haven't. For me, it's so easy just to be able to pull out the Switch and play handheld mode, like laying in bed or doing whatever like that. So having to sit down in front of the TV with a headset, with a cord, it is a little bit restricting. But what I've played so far, I've really enjoyed. Beat Saber is fantastic, probably one of the best rhythm games I've ever played. Astrobot I am playing right now, and while I do understand people saying it's like the Mario 64 of VR, I get that because it is one of the first like real VR games that like feels like truly built from the ground up, and that's actually really good. It doesn't have the worlds or the design of as smartly done as Mario 64 or pretty much any like Nintendo 3D platformer, but it does have some very clever ideas that they put in there. It just some of the charm is kind of lost. Whereas like a game like Mario 64 had a lot of that charm that I think really kind of pushed Mario 64 above all else. But the game really does use VR really well, and while the levels aren't completely consistent, it almost seems like every other level you're seeing something brand new you've never seen before, and your mouth just drops. You're just like, wow, this is something special. I had no idea this would be an idea for a VR experience. And so Astrobot is really something special. I also have like Doom VFR I bought. I have I got Eagle Flight, I got Unearthing Mars, I got Gunjack, I got PlayStation Worlds. There's a ton of games I have already, and I'm playing through quite a few of them. And I might have a video later down the road kind of reviewing PSVR and some of the games I've played. There's definitely some still coming out. The creators of London Heist from PlayStation Worlds are supposed to have a full action adventure game, something like John Wick or something like that. And the PlayStation World's London Heist is pretty great, so I think this would be really cool to see. And it's supposed to come out sometime this year. I think it was supposed to come out end of last year, but sometime in 2019 it's supposed to come out, so I'm looking forward to that. I guess the last thing I do want to mention for 2018, not really game specific, but I did go to Tokyo, Japan, as you guys saw in my last haul video. In the last video I put out a haul from Akihabara and Nakano Broadway and stuff like that, and it was really special, and I'm definitely looking forward to traveling somewhere else next, sometime this year, somewhere else completely different. I do plan on going back to Japan at some point, probably in the next couple of years. I want to go to Osaka and Hiroshima and Kyoto, obviously. So I'm definitely looking forward to that at some point. Japan was pretty amazing, and I would love to go there now, but I'm going to try to switch it up a little bit, go to some different places this year, and we'll see what happens there. But so that's my review of 2018. It's kind of a very lackluster 2018 in many ways, I think, for Nintendo first party wise. Switch did do pretty well. They had, again, like a ton of amazing indie games. If it didn't have the indie games it has, the Switch would be an absolute failure. You have some third-party support. It is very disheartening to see that still a lot of the games that we're getting are just remasters that come out on all systems, not taking advantage of the Switch in any way whatsoever. And, they're from like 6 years ago or something like that. We're seeing a lot of that now instead of big new experiences, and that's from both third parties and first parties. So it's kind of worrisome, but 2019 I have hope. But in this next direct that we see supposedly sometime in January, could be whenever, it could be February, who knows, I'm hoping that they show something big, because I'm losing some of my faith in Nintendo that they brought back to me in 2017, because that year was absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, they're definitely losing some of my faith here. And while I do, I'm always one of those people that defends the Switch by saying, hey, like, there's so many other games you can play. Like, literally, I have over 250 games on the Switch, whether it's from review codes or actually buying the games. I have over 250 games already, which is the most I've ever bought for any system. It's insane. It's dumb. But, a lot of them, they aren't these brand new full Nintendo type experiences that we got on the Wii, even some on the Wii U and definitely on the GameCube and stuff like that. I'm hoping that we see something bigger and better coming from Nintendo, and consistently, because a lot of the games that came out this year, I skipped. Like, the Kirby crap didn't look anything special whatsoever. There's a ton of these games like that, and anyway, I don't want to dwell on that, but I'm hoping for bigger and better things in 2019. Okay, so this next segment, I was going to go over all the games, but I'm going to carry this into my idea for 2019 and my channel goals for 2019. I know that usually the podcast episodes, I kind of bog down with a ton of with a ton of games I want to review for you guys very quick and kind of go through. But yeah, for this one, let's switch it up a little bit and have that at the end of the video. So please stay tuned for that. There are some definite gems in there. But speaking of gems, that's one of the videos that I want to do in 2019 is kind of go over some of the hidden gems indie games, as well as like some of the top games, but definitely the hidden gems, because there are really so many indie games on there, and a lot of them are original to the Switch. We see a ton of ports and mobile ports and PC ports from Steam and stuff like that, which is great, because a lot of those games don't really get much attention because it's just on Steam. But getting them on the Switch is really great. But there are some definite standouts that have been overlooked because of the amount of games that are out there, and a lot of those games are original to the Switch, or are first released on Switch or on consoles only, and not ports from other systems. So I want to highlight a lot of those in a video coming up. As far as what my channel will be like over 2019, I want to do a lot of less of the random smaller reviews. I like to focus on the games that are real standouts. I love indies, but I will be fair. Again, there are a lot of half-assed ports, but I won't be covering as many, so I can focus on the bigger and better games that are coming out, right? As you guys have seen over 2018, it seems like my channel kind of gradually moved into just covering more indie games and just kind of pushing those out, and I get that the viewership kind of dropped from that, and I totally understand a lot of those games won't interest you, but I want to make it clear that my channel will be focusing on the best of the best. I got a comment recently on my Twitter from someone saying that, hey, why don't you ever cover bad? You like every game you ever talk about. Then and I'm usually like, well, yeah, like I don't want to put out a review for a game that sucks, give it attention and all that. Like, what I will do is I will talk about games like that on a podcast, because that's just what I'm playing, but I'm not going to put out a full review just to shit on a game that probably doesn't deserve the attention anyways, if it's that bad, So that's why a lot of my reviews are usually generally positive. I do obviously have a lot of criticisms, and I usually try to focus on, if you're this type of gamer, this might be a game for you. But I want to focus, have less of those games to talk about. I want to focus on the bigger and better ones, so I can also beat more of those games. Because over 2018, I still have so many games in my backlog, but a lot of the games that I just honestly didn't have time to completely beat. Just there's so many games, and there's just not enough time, and maybe I was getting burnt out a little bit, who knows. But yeah, something else I want to do in 2019 is focus a little more on bigger videos, a lot more editing and effort put into them. I won't have as many videos coming out, but I will also have a lot more effort put into some of these videos, because I have quite a few ideas for them, and I'm going to go over a few of them here with you guys now, but I'd love to hear some of your guys' ideas for other videos that you think I should do, whether they're more effort put into them, like some of these bigger, like more editing kind of, videos that I need to do. I to be honest, I never really followed much of this whole Nintendo taking your money thing. I always demonetized my videos anyways. I've never made money off of YouTube in that way. So, and really, it's not really my goal anyway, either, but, it's nice to see that we can do full gameplay, on our channels now, and we don't have to worry about that. That is really nice. So so I'm definitely gonna have some bigger, larger videos coming out that honestly mean a lot to me, as far as my gaming tastes and my thoughts on games. It's not just rants, it's not just reviews of games, it is almost analyses of games and going into what games mean and what they are and the essence of video games. And I know that sounds like a whole bunch of hullabaloo or whatever you want to call it, but I do have some ideas, and one of them, for example, is called the Hero's Journey series, and it's all about The Legend of Zelda. As you guys might know, like, some of the narrative of the hero's journey has always been a staple in most Zelda games, and I kind of want to go over how that is in many of my favorite Zelda games. And because for me, one of the most shining moments in all gaming are the beginnings and the intros to Zelda games. I love the bring up of a nothing villager, a person who has no destiny, just kind of living through life, and then they have to get brought up to do something great and save the world, or save the Princess Zelda, or save Ganon, or whatever, or just, defeat Ganon, or whatever the case is. I love that in Zelda games, this build up from the very beginning of the game, not having too much, and then also at the end having all these items and being able to do all these things. It's really something special for video games for me, and it follows that narrative of the hero's journey. So I want to make this series of videos for Zelda games where I incorporate the sights of Zelda games, the sounds of Zelda games, and really kind of building up this video, hopefully in like a 3 to 4 minute chunk, showing the journey from start to finish of a Zelda game, and hopefully just capturing the essence of what it was in that Zelda game, some of the most epic moments, the best music, and put it all together in something that hopefully will be pretty amazing for everybody. I would love to see you guys support and take a look at those videos. Let me know what you think of them. But again, I have some of these ideas. I haven't started them entirely yet, but I definitely have some ideas for it, and I think some people may enjoy them. So that will be and again, just have a video like that I'm proud of, that I put a lot of effort into. Like, as you guys know, I don't really edit my videos too much. I always, even for people that I watch, I really don't care if they're editing too much. Honestly, if people edit too much their videos, I find it just distracts me and just makes me seem like, hey, they don't really have much to say anyway. I'd rather just listen to someone talk out of their mind and stuff like that, and not have like scripts and all this kind of crap. But sometimes scripts can help, but it has to be coming from your heart, right? Anyway, but yeah, so that's one of the ideas I have for 2019 videos. Other videos, I guess it's just kind of more looking at the experience of video games, the special elements that some of the games bring. So it wouldn't be typically like, oh yeah, look at the graphics on this video game. It'd be more like, oh yeah, well, look at the environment here, and how does that affect how you perceive this video game, or how do you feel when you're playing this? Again, more of like an essence of the games, a lot less just, yes, it check marks this, the action is fun, cool, the world is pretty, okay, nice, the music sounds great, okay, cool, not about that, but like, what is beyond just the checklist of what makes a good video game? That's what I want to get into. I also have another video coming up for my second year Switch collection. A lot of you guys really loved when I went over all my physical games for Switch after the first year. But yeah, this time I will go over all my physical games, but I will also go over all my download games. And as I alluded to before, I have over 250 games on my Switch. Again, probably the majority of that weren't actually bought. They were review codes sent to me for review, which again explains why I haven't been able to play like every single game. It's kind of been absurd, right? But whether it's me, buying them or the codes, I do plan on slowing that down. But again, it's been insane, and I have such a huge backlog, so I want to kind of chug through that. But I will be turning down a lot more codes and stuff like that. Only games I am truly interested in will I be taking a look at, and they will be either covered in podcast segment or in a review if I deem it worthy. Well, that sounds super pretentious, but whether I think it's worth putting it out there as a separate video or not. But yeah, it's just something. There's something special about the Switch, and me just having 250 games, whether I bought them or not, is just a testament to how impactful the whole concept of the Switch is. Being able to have these games on a TV and a handheld, having your own device, in your hand with all these games on it that isn't, on a shelf somewhere. It's something truly special, I find, and it makes me, like the collector in me, really want to just kind of fill out that library and have this one system here with all these games ready to play whenever I feel like it. It's something special. It's amazing. But yeah, there it is, guys. Those are some of the ideas I have for 2019 videos. I'd love to hear some of your guys' thoughts and the channel goals and stuff like that. What do you guys think? Are any ideas for videos you think I should be doing? Please let me know. But yeah, let's just jump right now into the next segment, which will be going over some of the games I've been playing recently. Alright, so again, I have quite a few games here. It will be slowing down, obviously, but I want to hit some of these here really quick. First game, Pizza Titan Ultra. So this is not a random mobile port or anything like that. This is actually a really good, well-made game and really funny too. Essentially, you're a pizza delivery service and you have hired people to pilot these giant robots to deliver pizza throughout the city, or throughout the cities or countries, or just throughout Earth, I guess you would say. So essentially what you have is you have a mission kind of come up at the start of the game, and it'll be some hilarious thing. One of the first missions they have is Bob Ross is requesting a pizza delivery, which is hilarious. They have a whole bunch of references to him. He's very funny writing and stuff like that. And then you go into the mission, and it's in an isometric view, and you are flying around the city. You are fighting enemies, the cheese bots or the cheeseborgs, that are kind of trying to prevent you from delivering your pizza, and they're kind of attacking the towns and stuff like that. And yeah, you have to kind of fly to different buildings, deliver the pizza, fly to the next one. There's a time limit. You can collect money on the way. You can collect time pieces and increase the amount of time you have. You can fight enemies, and you have to actually make the pizza sometimes when you're actually delivering it. It's a really fun kind of arcade action game like this, and it's really well made. It looks really nice. It has this cool cell shaded look. Again, the writing's really good. The character portraits are really nice. It's really funny, and it's very, very fun to play, and it's definitely very I guess I don't want to say like difficult, but like you have to pay attention, because before you know it, if you aren't delivering pizzas in a timely manner, all of a sudden your time limit is dropping down. You're getting attacked by people, which slows you down. And it's just a lot of fun to be able to do that, jumping around and flying around and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. So, as far as Switch eShop games, is definitely a good one. So you might want to take a look. It's definitely worth a look if any of this sounds interesting to you. The next game is called Inops, and it's a typical sort of puzzle platformer with the, kind of the silhouette look. It just provides less detail, but again, it looks pretty enough. It's doing the silhouette look we see a lot in games like Night Sky and all that kind of stuff. But what's different with this one, actually, I guess, again, this one isn't really different either. It's kind of what it reminds me of. I think it's called Badlands on mobile. And where this game, essentially, you have all these blobs. You find new friends, you add to the blobs, and then you have like 30 blobs following you as you're trying to go through a platforming level, right? You can then combine the blobs into one larger blob that can like activate switches or move around easier without losing blobs behind you. It kind of reminds me of a game like Fluidity, where you have to kind of collect the water and keep it all together. But this one is just sort of a typical platformer where you're finding other blobs you can combine together or separate into smaller ones to move through different little passageways. And it's decent. I wouldn't highly suggest this game, but for what it is, if you're into puzzle platformers like this, I don't think you can go wrong with it. It's good for what it is. But yeah, it's only for if you're a fan of that kind of a genre and you're into those kind of games. It's nothing too special. Again, it feels like everything's kind of been done before, but it's definitely a well-made game, and a well-made game made by professionals. Tell me if you guys know what that's referencing. That'd be pretty funny. Next game is called Don't Sink. And this game had my interest for sure, because I love Pirates of the Caribbean, for example, and I love pirate games. And this is a game where you're basically a pirate, and you start off with a very tiny ship, basically, and you're on an island, and you have to conquer all the rest of the islands. You have to do errands to collect money, upgrade your ships, and yeah, you just have to basically go through these challenges, make money, conquer islands, collect loot, and it's not like an action based, it's almost more of a strategy based. You do have direct control of your character going through different villages that you can kind of conquer, and then have them kind of build you up like a strategy game where they be giving you money and stuff for taxes and stuff like that. It's really cool. I like that they really kind of went into this whole strategy aspect of it, because it really did feel like you're conquering certain islands. You're having dogfights with other bolts, with other pirate ships as you go by them. You're ransacking their ship for money. You're recruiting new crew members. Crew members are dying if you fight. Crew members get sick. You have to make sure you have enough cannonballs in your ship. You have to make sure you have enough food and medicine, and it's a full strategy game like that. And I really like that because it emphasizes more of the strategy. Because a lot of the main like direct control kind of fighting or moving through the villages is really kind of boring. A lot of it's the same. It all looks nice. It's a nice kind of a pixel art style, and like the environments look really nice, but a lot of the islands are kind of the same. Like you have a dock, you have like a bar, you have a like a tavern, and that's and then you have like a supermarket or something, and that's pretty much it. And it's like the same 5 buildings or whatever on every single island that you have. So you're not inhabiting the places too well. The whole game could probably be just like menu based, and it would be just as good. It does allow, which is actually a good thing, it does allow for the menu based kind of navigation and stuff like that. So you don't really have to kind of actually walk through the islands that you go to or anything like that. So I'm sure I just kind of threw out a lot of that stuff at you guys, but essentially this is not that expensive of a game. It's not crazy long, but it all depends on how long you take to do these games. If you're kind of going through leisurely, if you're trying to go from start to finish, honestly, I think it would probably be about 3 hours or so, maybe 4 hours. If you really just went from start to finish, but you can really kind of slow it down. There's a ton of different side quests and stuff like that you can do, and you're kind of the pirate lord, and I really like that feeling. So Don't Sink is another good one, I think. If something like this sounds of interest to you guys, I'd definitely say, yeah, check it out. It didn't disappoint me for sure, and I definitely got hooked for the couple nights that I was playing it, right? So next game is called Samsara. This is a port from PC, and it's a puzzle game, but semi-puzzle platformer, where essentially you have a pool of water on the lower half of the screen, then you have a typical I guess like kind of puzzle on the top screen, and you have to make your person on one corner of the screen go to the other corner where there's another warp pipe, and you have a few objects that you can place there. Then you basically hit play, then that person will just continuously run from one side to the other side, and they need to be able to run right to the warp pipe. But if you misplace an object, then they'll fall, then they'll die, and you have to restart. And that's essentially it. You just have to place the objects where they need to. The reflecting pool of water on the bottom will actually reflect that the object that you put in, in the top half of the portion, and vice versa. So essentially you have to use that in some ways in order to, say, drop a certain object while the game is playing, so that the person will continue running up without falling into a pit or something like that. It's an interesting little kind of ad that, to be honest, I didn't completely get in some ways. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't invest as much time into it as I needed to. But I found I could just kind of beat the levels seemingly like in the same way throughout majority of the levels that I was playing. It didn't seem like each level only had one way to beat it. It seemed like you could beat it in multiple ways, which seemed a little odd to me. But it was decent. I honestly didn't have too crazy of a time. Again, if you like puzzle games, I'd still say grab Gardens Between just in general. But if you still like puzzle games, this might be an okay one. But again, it's kind of a port. I feel like you can probably find it for much cheaper elsewhere, and it wasn't anything too crazy or new. Next game is called Viviette, which is definitely kind of new to me, at least. It's a top-down pixel art horror game, or puzzle horror game, I guess you could say, which is really kind of creepy, actually. Essentially, you play as a guy. He's there with friends at a mansion, and all of a sudden his friends disappear and his girlfriend disappears into the mansion, and he goes back in to find her, and he finds that she has been possessed. There's a lot of kind of story that goes around it, but essentially you're trying to get her and yourself off of this island where this mansion was. but you find that it's a little tougher than you first anticipate. And again, it's a 2D. It's actually very scary. And towards the start of the thing, you find that your girlfriend's been possessed, and once you find her, you're basically going up behind her to like tap her on the shoulder, saying, "Hey, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here." And then she turns around, and she's like trying to attack you. So almost throughout the whole game, she's chasing you with a knife, and you're trying to like hide in different rooms, and complete puzzles with her still chasing you and stuff like that. It's very nerve-wracking, and it's really cool to see that in a 2D game like this. It's really kind of interesting, and it's not that expensive. So again, I think only if you're a fan of horror games. And you're not too, I guess it's kind of like an adventure game too, with how these puzzles are like environmentally based and stuff like that. If that sounds like something you're into, this is definitely a good one. I was very surprised with this. I'm not usually a big horror game fan, and playing a game like that in 2D like this with pixel art, it's really kind of cool. And the animations are really nice, and the gore is pretty cool and stuff like that. And it's definitely a good game. It has some interesting story elements too, and not bad at all. Again, only if you're a fan of like horror games and you can kind of endure the puzzle aspects that might get frustrating because it's like environmentally based. Next game is called Steamberg. Again, this is like it's a puzzle game, but it's kind of like an action game as well. But what this one is, it's basically kind of around a Tesla coil kind of world where it's like kind of like steampunkish, and basically robots take over the world, and you're a scientist and you're trying to find a way to defeat them. And one of the ways is that all these Tesla coils that were placed around these cities that you are in, if a robot gets too close, they will zap them and the robot will completely discombobulate and die. And you basically have each level is like one plane of a city or something like that, and you have to walk around. You have free range to walk around, and you can either hit switches or do all this stuff. But then if a robot sees you, they start chasing you, and if you run past a Tesla coil that doesn't zap you, and then the robot follows you, it will get zapped. The Tesla coils will zap you, but you have to make sure you avoid their zapping range, I guess. So a lot of the puzzles are just about you moving into position, triggering a robot to follow you, you finding a shortcut to move away from where that is, and then that Tesla coil zapping the robot. Or you hit a switch, which then opens a bridge, you go on the other side of a crevasse or something like that, or it closes the bridge, you go on the other side of the river, the robot sees you, it runs towards the river, there's a Tesla coil there, it dies. It's a lot of that kind of environmental puzzles that you do, and it was decent. It wasn't anything special. I found the game was a little bit slow. The puzzles weren't like too crazy innovative or anything like that. But, they definitely worked. I like the aesthetic of the game, the steampunk and the Tesla coils, all the electricity. It was pretty decent. But again, this isn't anything too special. If it's interesting to you, I'll say wait for a sale. It's definitely a decent game to play if you're into these type of puzzle games. But again, if you're not, then, definitely stay away. Next game, The Escapist Complete Edition. So The Escapist is interesting to me because I've been wanting to play these games for a while, and I always kind of got it mixed up with Prison Architect, which, if you guys may know, I did go into design for architecture in university. And so like when I heard Prison Architect and I had studied different prisons and the panopticons and stuff like that, I thought, hey, this game sounds like right up my alley, right? So I kind of thought of Prison Architect when I thought of this. So The Escapist is a little different. It's similar in the fact that it's kind of pixel art style, but you're literally a prisoner and you have to find a way to break out of all these different jails. And it's actually really interesting. Again, it's like kind of a 2D pixel art, top-down view, played like a Legend of Zelda game or something like that. It's kind of interesting. It's a lot of strategy implemented into the game, like whether it's like timing wise, there's routines. If you fight with a certain prison mate, they will have it out for you. Sometimes you have to kill one of them and steal their clothes, or it's a lot of different things, and all these different levels, and it seems like it's never really the exact same every time. There's multiple ways you can break out of a prison, so it's very clever when you actually find the one way to do it. It's very satisfying, and I think that's kind of the whole draw for this game. It's this satisfaction of like, oh shit, like could I actually break out of a prison if I was in one? Because it seems very not realistic in that way, but like it seems like logical, everything that you do and why you would then be able to get out if you do that. So if that sounds interesting to you, then The Escapist is really good. I definitely enjoyed this. This is the complete edition for The Escapist 1. They do have The Escapist 2 out now, so definitely take a look if that's interesting to you. Next game is called Townsman, and this is kind of like a typical kind of strategy game that you would see akin to like Age of Empires or Age of Mythology or something like that, but this game seems very mobile based, and it is a mobile port. It is good, but I don't like the sense of not having direct control of your town, your villagers and stuff like that. A lot of it is essentially menu based and stuff like that, and you can tell them to like build a new building somewhere, but it kind of has like this separation from you and the actual characters you have, and it kind of seems very limiting to me. It's decent, but like I don't know, being a mobile port and just that kind of wrong feeling to me that I'm feeling distant and I'm kind of separated from the actual experience. I didn't like that at all. So honestly, I would not suggest this one, but if you're interested, maybe check out the mobile version of it. I'm sure it's a lot cheaper, and it might be something you want to play that you can play like on like a bus or something like that, like just pulling out your phone to play it quick. Next game, The Aquatic Adventures of the Last Human. This is a really cool game that is sadly very poorly represented on the eShop. They should not have the icon and the eShop, the window of the eShop that they show this game. It looks terrible. I don't know why they would show that as the icon. It's gross. It's terrible because the game is actually super beautiful. It's this pixel art game where you're basically playing as a submarine and you went back to Earth after, I guess, Armageddon or whatever it is, and now the whole Earth is covered in water. Everything is underwater, and you're a submarine. You're going through remnants of a civilization that was there, and while you're going through, you are finding these gigantic aquatic bosses. Huge bosses, really crazy. You'll have octopuses, you'll have these gigantic worms, or some of those like night fishes with like the lamps on their head, hanging off their head and stuff like that. Some really cool boss fights. They're really large. There's no other enemies throughout. It's more or less just from boss fight to boss fight, but there is exploration in between, and again, the environments look very beautiful, and I definitely had a lot of fun with this game. I would actually highly recommend this game. It's very fun. I think it's a hidden gem on the eShop. However, again, I think they're not doing themselves favors with how it's represented on the eShop. The icon looks terrible. Even some of the screenshots they show are just not that good. I do have it posted on my Twitter, 4 of my screenshots I have, which again shows how beautiful the game can be. And it's a lot of fun. I like the game. It's not too expensive, so yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It's not an expensive game, and for anyone who likes these type of puzzle, or not puzzle, but like action platforming games, like 2D side scrolling, I think you might like this one. You do have free range, so it's not like you're in water, right? But yeah, if you're into those type of platforming games, I think this is one you might definitely want to take a look at. Next game is Xenon Valkyrie Plus. So this is a roguelike game. Again, obviously we have so many roguelike games, but this one does do it right. It's a 2D side-scrolling action game. Again, you have a gun weapon, and then you have a melee weapon. And as you move through, you collect different money. You go through the next level. You can upgrade your character. And once you beat a certain boss, you get to a checkpoint where you can then either, if you have enough gems and material and stuff like that, you can buy a different checkpoint so you can jump right to there from the start. And I love that, the fact that you can kind of build up, and if you get to a certain point, you can increase your likelihood of just starting from there and just moving ahead from where you left off at that checkpoint. So it's not like you're always starting at the very end of the game. You're starting off at a checkpoint that you reached before, which is really nice. I know it's definitely a lot of fun. Some of the bosses are kind of cool. The bosses aren't too special, but they do look kind of nice. The game definitely gets really hard. It's just the amount of health that you have, and some of the unsuspecting enemies where they'll blow up and they'll hit you and you'll get thrown around. It's a pretty typical roguelike game. We've seen a ton of them on the Switch eShop, but it's definitely a good one. So if you're into roguelike games, I think you might want to give this one a try. If you're not, then this one's not doing anything for you. Next game, Black Sea Odyssey. So this game is a little bit kind of rough around the edges, but it kind of reminds me of the aquatic adventures of Last Human, in a way. So essentially what this is, it's set in, I guess, a futuristic fantasy world of the universe, where there's I guess it's kind of a crazy story, but essentially there's like a space sport game thing where certain like bounty hunters go and they not fight each other, but they compete in a competition to defeat large space creatures, I guess you would say. It's pretty crazy, but essentially you start off with an old man on like a dolphin, I think it is, and he has like a trident, and it looks like he'd be like Zeus or Poseidon or something like that, right? And essentially you're just kind of going through in a top-down view of in the universe in open space, and you have a harpoon that you're throwing at certain enemies, and you have to kill them, and you have your trident that you're throwing, and you have a harpoon that you can shoot at one of these larger enemies, and you can tug and pull off different extremities that they have. So like you can pull out, say there's like an enemy like with like that's like a frog, and it's swimming throughout the space, and it's shooting its little babies at you to attack you. You can shoot that harpoon after you've damaged it enough, and you can rip off one of its legs, and then that cripples it. It allows it to not hit you as much, and yeah, you can do that with all of its extremities, and then at a certain point its health drops down, and then you beat that level, you beat that kind of bounty that you did, right? So it's pretty interesting. You have to beat a few of those, you can unlock new characters, and it's kind of like a Monster Hunter game, but it's just kind of in a top-down 2D view in space, and you're just kind of flying around shooting harpoons or shooting different weapons at the enemy, and then being able to pull off and destroy certain extremities of them. So it's okay. It's definitely rough around the edges. I had decent fun with it, but this isn't a game I would highly recommend. This would have to be another one that would go on sale before I would say, yeah, definitely take a look at it. Next game is Pipe Push Paradise. So this is a straight up puzzle game where essentially you have to carry and bring water from one end of a certain one screen level to another, and there's only a certain amount of pipes that you can hook up from one connection to the other. So again, it's a pretty typical puzzle game, but it's pretty cool because like the pipes, if you're pushing in a certain direction, they will actually flip if they can, like if physics can. If one's like an L pipe and you start pushing it on one side, it might flip to the other side until it has a support on one side that you can only then start pushing it instead of it flipping. And you have to just connect the pipes so that they connect from one end to the other, and and you just move on to the next level. It's kind of interesting, the placement of the character, because it's not like you're just moving the pipes, you're actually a character going and pushing the pipe, so you have to be aware of where you are when you're pushing a pipe, because it's not good enough to just put the pipes together and connect them. You have to actually be there pushing them and be able to leave that level. It's definitely an interesting little puzzle game. Nothing too crazy. Again, if you're into puzzle games, have a look, and it might be for you. It's definitely well made. But if you're just looking for a game to play, I wouldn't say this is one of the best must-own games out there. It's completely competent, and it's a good puzzle game. It has definitely some challenge in there. And again, if you're looking for something like that, I think this is a good one. It's just nothing extraordinary, obviously. Two more. Second last game is called Raised. This is a really cool 3D platformer, speedrunning platformer too. And as you guys know, I love these type of games. Essentially, you have a certain time limit at every level, and you have to jump and run throughout the level. Whether you are, if you are jumping, or if you're in the air, or you're moving around in different ways, it will start slowly drain your energy. But if you're actually running on the ground or drifting along corners and stuff like that, it will build up your energy. So you always have to kind of manage the amount of energy you have while you're running through these levels and jumping and bouncing around. So you always want to be kind of on the ground running so you can build up your energy, because if you're going through like a whole bunch of trampolines and you're in the air for 15 seconds or something, it's gradually draining your energy and you won't have enough to finish the level. That's a cool aspect to the game. I think it definitely adds some challenge to it. It's got a cool little art style too. It's kind of a cell shading, but it's more like geometric and kind of vibrant colors. And yeah, it's definitely a good game. I definitely had my fun with it for sure. I wonder if there's anything else I really want to go over with that one. Yeah, a lot of levels. It's got an interesting little story that you kind of follow along with it too. Again, it's definitely gets pretty challenging, but again, if you're a fan of the speedrunning type platformers like I am, and which is why I was very excited for this game, I think you're going to enjoy it. It's definitely worth a look if you're into speedrunning platformers, and it's nice to have a 3D platformer again. And the last game, which is definitely the least unlike the saying, obviously, this is definitely the least best game here, called Clouds and Sheep 2. Yeah, not a good game. This seems like it would be like a discount sort of Farmville game you'd see on like a Facebook or something like that. It's really not good. You're basically just, you have your little farm and you have a sheep that you buy, and then you gradually, you shear the sheep, you get some money, or you do this, you make the sheep happy, and then you get some more money, you buy another animal, another sheep, and then you take care of that sheep, and you do the same thing over and over. Graphics look pretty terrible. Pretty much everything about it is just kind of a nothing burger. It's nothing special to it whatsoever. So yeah, not really any, I wouldn't suggest it for pretty much anybody. Maybe if it's like a 3-year-old kid or something and they just like to see sheep, but even then I feel like that's a little bit of stretch. I feel like there's better games out there. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's all the games I've been playing recently. Again, I'm going to be slowing down the amount of games I have that I talk about on these, and I'm going to kind of focus on some of the bigger and better ones. I know that some of you guys have been mentioning that, yeah, you'd like to hear some more thoughts about some of the bigger games that you have more interest in, and less about, Clouds and Sheep 2 and stuff like that. So I plan on doing that in 2019, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of No Filter, a Nintendo podcast. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I will be switching up some of this content a bit in 2019, and I hope you guys stick by and enjoy. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Anyways, guys, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.